Board games, board games, it's what we're talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this morning with a little bit of singing. And over there, you're gonna see this lovely person whose name is Chris. And we are going to review these games that you can see here in front of you at the bottom of the screen. Those are the games that I mean. And hello to the audience of J Fool's Guard. It is Are You Dancing? Anyway, board games, it's what we're talking about. Board games and reviewing things. I'm not gonna shout. Hello and good morning.
Hello.
I see that. There we go. I had the YouTube thing open and it was causing an echo and it was distracting me, but it's all gone now. And hello, Rob Harper. And today, as always, it is 10 a.m. And for those who aren't aware, because apparently I got this comment on my YouTube channel just 11 hours ago, half a day ago, someone seemed to be a bit confused. And so if you're watching this after the fact, this goes live at 10 a.m. I mean, unfortunately, there's no easy UK time, I should specify. There's no easy way to specify what 10 a.m. UK time is. Is it breakfast time? Well, it is if you're in the UK. Is it bedtime? Well, it is if you're in New Zealand. But then we decided to, just throw in the whole towel, figuratively speaking, I'd say it is bath time. And so that is why we now call it the BEZ Bath Time Board Game Blether. And today, of course, coming up, we're going to be reviewing various games. Now, before we get into it, we have this lovely face in front of us. And how would you like to introduce yourself, Chris? I mean, what is... yeah. Yeah. Should we just jump in? And
I know you all too well.
Yeah, people have been watching me and I have been sharing information. That's the way that this goes. Yeah, and people are asking. But yeah, Chris, why
nice to see you too.
Why do you come and stream with me? This is your second time that you've voluntarily done it.
I mean, I'm being held hostage. No. I come on here mainly because me and Bez, we play loads and loads of games together. We usually meet up on a Monday, and it gives us a chance to play like 2 or 3 games, maybe 4, depending on how long they are. But this gives us a great opportunity to sort of go through all the other games that we've played already, and then just sort of review them together, because it's nice to have a little bit of a different feedback from different people, I think, as well, when you're reviewing things, because I think everybody comes to games with different perspectives. So
yeah, I think that's a fair point, and we are both people who like analysing things. I mean, I think that if we are watching a film, we would have a bit of a chat afterwards. Like, do you remember that film on the train? And yeah, that was mad. Do you remember that one?
The film
with the
on
train
the
that never stopped moving, and
oh,
then the
yes.
whole thing was the Korean one. I want to say, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I feel like it was a Korean horror film based on a train that doesn't stop. And
it's not based on a true story. It's like completely fictional. It's like it's in an alternate future. But
it's a train that goes around the world as well, constantly through snowdrifts and stuff.
Why is it's never explained? Anyway, so like after the film, we end up kind of dissecting it and picking apart the holes and being, what's that bit's all about? But yeah, that bit was cool. I liked that and what the film was trying to do. And I think that we are both of the mindset that likes to dissect a thing and get a bit into it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. And the film was called Train to Busan, I think. Does that ring a bell? Or was it Snowpiercer?
Snowpiercer, I think that might be the one.
I was getting mixed up with Train to Busan, which is a Korean horror film based on zombies and a train. So yeah, it's both got trains.
Anyway, so like, this is Chris. We spend some time together. Chris comes over every Wednesday, helps out, and if you go and interact with Twitter, twitter.com/ELL_DECK. I should actually get that up on a screen. Then you will probably be interacting with Chris. And Chris has done, there we go, the L deck, formerly known as Wibble++. You will see some amazing photos that Chris has taken. And this is the kind of content that you're missing if you don't follow. This was my favorite, where the squirrel actually picks it up.
It was so curious. It was like, what is this card? Like, I don't understand. Is that a nut next to the card? Oh, I'll have that. Yeah. Damn. Thanks.
There might have been some food involved, like some actual bait. I mean, it wasn't just leaving the card out and waiting for the squirrel to grab it. And I love the fact that anyway. But
yay!
That is awesome. But yeah, that is Chris, who's now I'm going to officially give you a title. It doesn't mean anything, but I'm officially bestowing upon you a title. You're my head of photography.
I'll take that. I'm going to put it on my CV.
Okay, you can. I feel like you've earned it. I mean, you've taken some pretty good shots. So it's just arbitrary titles that you earn. That's the way things happen. So now let's move on to the questionably quick questions. And
it's a good idea for game design.
Ooh, that is, yeah, a good name for an L game, Squirrel.
Something hiding cards, squirreling them away.
Ooh. Like remembering where your nuts are, so maybe you have to remember where particular cards are. Maybe it's something about that free cup game, if you know it's the one where the shell game where you hide stuff under shells and then you mix them together. Yeah. Squirrels are the new zombies for board games, according to Rob Harper, which, yeah.
I mean, if that's the case, we need to capitalize quick.
Yeah. Well, before they go on the way out. Anyway, so if you've got any questionably quick questions for either of us, then now is your time for the next 10 minutes. Just throw anything at us, and we will answer anything. Maybe I should have gone recent. I'm going to change it tomorrow again. But I keep deciding how these three things... But Chris, first thing I want to ask, which has been asked a lot recently, would you rather be a shark or a pigeon for a day?
A shark or a pigeon for a day?
And we're assuming that if you get transported, you get transported into the appropriate environment. So
I don't just suddenly wake up in bed as a shark
and then die because you can't breathe. But then the other question was, is it a brain swap? Like, the other side of the question is, what animal would do less damage if it was in your body for a day? Imagine if there was a shark in your body, if you know what I mean, like a shark's mind in your body.
Okay, that would be quite funny, actually. I feel like a pigeon would probably do the most damage, as it would probably want me to jump out of a window or into a window.
Ooh.
Because you know what pigeons are like, especially when they're stuck indoors. I mean, if that was the case, brain transplant, gotta go with the shark. But I would prefer the pigeon because, I don't know, you get to see some, like, cool views, like, up in the sky. It'd be like a drone, But I don't want to take the risk of my physical body.
Yeah, and, there are other people involved. I mean, like, if it happens in the middle of the night, there could be some nastiness going on with your partner.
And I'd have to be quite terrified as a pigeon, really. Well, I mean,
imagine how terrifying that would be, waking up next to a person and their body has suddenly been taken over by the mind of a pigeon, and they're just like freaking out. It's like, it's worse than an epilepsy fit, because this is, this question's taken a dark turn.
It's taken a very dark turn.
And let's move to, do you believe, Rob, that UK Games Expo 2022 will be full of squirrel games?
I mean, if they're not already, they should be.
Okay. If you had to challenge each other to a contest, asks Alex, what would you choose? So, like, if you and I had to challenge each other, are you
asking this in the sense of, like, would I choose this challenge in order to win? Like, is this a...
Oh, that's a good question, yeah.
Am I wanting to win out of this, or is it just for fun?
Or is it like something that we're trying to choose to kind of make it fair? Because if we're trying to win, then I feel like one of the L games I might stand, like maybe Wibble. I think that I would be confident about Wibble, like the original.
See,
I feel like
it would either be Labyrinth, because I love that game, and I think I'm better at it just a little bit than you, or maybe that new driving simulator that I've got.
Oh yeah, we are both quite competitive. So if Chris is actually trying to win, then I think that Chris would choose the driving simulator, because I was really bad at that.
I've gotten really good as well.
So yeah.
I've done nothing for the last week apart from that.
Morning, Alan in chat. So, would we rather have a giant hamster wheel or a tiny landscape garden? I mean, like, given that I'm about to move, like, but imagine that space wasn't an issue, okay? I feel like a giant hamster wheel, if it was like actually designed for humans, I feel like that would be pretty cool. Like, it reminds me of those cages. Like, I've been in one of those cages where you get strapped and it's at the fairground, and then they just spin you loads, and then you kind of feel a bit sick. And maybe when you're younger, you don't get as actually sick and vomity. But I think that if it was a hamster wheel and I had to be, okay, I'm being really dexterous and I need to put my feet exactly on the steps, if you know what I mean. Otherwise, I fall over. But maybe it's all made out of cushion, so that if I do fall over, I'm not going to hurt myself too much. I think that would be pretty cool.
I like the idea of a giant hamster wheel. Space is always an issue, but if space weren't an issue, yeah, giant hamster wheel for sure. A tiny landscape garden, I love the idea, but I have a problem with plants, which is that I care too much for them, and then they die.
Yeah, so giant hamster wheel all the way. I mean, what would you peeps choose? But that's a good question.
I mean, even in quarantine as well, giant hamster wheel. You get your exercise. You don't have to go anywhere.
We could go running, but it's like, to think about a giant hamster wheel, I just imagine it being like a self-contained version of like that ninja show where it's like American Ninja or something. Because you're kind of having to clamber up the steps and keep the steps going and get it going as fast as possible. And imagine if the giant hamster wheel had a speedometer, like, so you try to get that number as high as possible. How cool would that be? So like, it's
like Usain Bolt top speed.
Like, just try and getting it. Okay, what's my average over 10 minutes? Okay, that's the possibly Ninja Warrior. I'm not good at the names of shows. We've already established I'm not good at names of things, but yeah, possibly that one. And Alan's local playground has a giant hamster wheel thing. What? It's very scary, although kids seem to love it. Oh my gosh!
I want to go there.
This is potentially within cycling distance of us, Chris, because this is about 20 miles away from us.
You're cycling. I mean, I have cycled.
It's a dedicated cycling distance. I mean, it's a dedicated cycle.
I mean, I'm not coming back in the same day though.
If you suddenly stop, you might be able to spin all the way around. I'm wondering, like, how does this giant hamster wheel in the playground, stop you from hurting yourself if you fall over? Like, because
I guess it doesn't.
Is this just like something like from the old school viewpoint of things. I mean, yeah. But and Alan, the final question, possibly the final question, asks, can you have a virtual pillow or cushion fight, perhaps? I'm not sure if this is a question or a request. I mean,
we could, but I think it would involve a lot of technology getting trashed somehow.
I feel like, you could throw the cushion at the side and I'd be like, oh, ow, ow, ow. Wait, wrong side. Ow, ow. So like if you're punching me, pretend to punch me.
Wait, that way.
Ow, ow.
The other way. The other way.
Ow. Wait. Ow. 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 Yeah. I don't think it's worth getting the whole pillows for that thing. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it worked. Okay, Alan's happy with that. Almost. Fine, I'll take it. If you could deep fry any food and eat it right now, what would you go for? Ooh,
Panzerotti.
What?
Panzerotti.
What's panzerotti?
It's kind of already that anyway. Yeah, essentially it's just like it's like a pizza but like in dough almost, and then it's like fried, and it's got like this crispy outer coating but it's soft in the middle, and then on the inside of that you've got like cheese and ham or other stuff that you'd have on a pizza. Really nice.
I would say scallops. I'm assuming that I get it for free, so I do actually genuinely really like scallops. I think that if it was like kind of in a very thin batter, very thin, I think that could actually work quite well. It keeps the scallop hot, then you break it open with the knife and just, soak it very quickly. I think, scallops in a thin batter, that's what I would go for.
But there is a YouTuber out there somewhere that does a channel called Will It Fry, I think, and they fry deep fry a lot of different things, including
deep fried souffle.
Probably Munster Munch. I mean, like literally, you think of it, like they've probably deep fried it. McDonald's, stuff from Greg's, anything.
Okay, so that Alex is checking that's out now. Yeah, what is your favorite method of cooking? I mean, talking about that, I mean, if we're talking frying, putting things into the oven, assume that you're cooking raw ingredients, not a ready meal, you're cooking raw ingredients. What's your favorite method? And assume it's something versatile, like it could be a potato. It doesn't have to be a potato. It could be peas. It could be anything.
I still prefer the oven. I don't know why. I feel like ovens just cook things the best. Like they're always cooked through. I mean, judging that you've actually cooked the item properly, it's always got that like crispy outer coating, and it's always soft on the inside, but it's always cooked through. And you can kind of experiment a bit more with an oven as well. Like you can't really do that with many other things in that sort of same sense. Like you can't just chuck loads of things into the tray and then hope for them to caramelize and like meld in together.
Well, you could do that if you are doing a stew and you're cooking it in a pot.
That is true. You do make some fantastic stews, so.
Oh. And I think that I was thinking that maybe shallow frying or stir frying is my favorite method. And that wraps us up with the questionably quick questions. And Alex says that they've seen a guy who bought a Mr. Whippy machine and puts through all sorts of things, including hummus, chili sauce, and ketchup.
I feel sorry for the machine.
Well, talking about food we don't like, can we think of a brilliant thing? Brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? Brilliant thing. We've not prepared this bit at all.
No.
Can you think of a brilliant thing?
My tooth
Audience
doesn't.
members,
My gum doesn't hurt as much as usual.
yes. Healthy teeth, uninfected teeth. Let's go with uninfected teeth.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
Uninfected teeth, I think, are pretty brilliant. I have many
for
uninfected teeth. I mean, I unfortunately have one that is infected, but you know, I appreciate the other ones that are not infected.
Oh, brilliant thing is I no longer have any fillings. Oh,
Hey, we already have one brilliant thing. Hold your horses. That can be next time you're on. We're already talking about uninfected teeth. So, uninfected teeth, it's brilliant because it doesn't give you pain. You can use them to... I mean, I'm assuming they're also generally healthy, that you can use them to munch on things. You can feel the texture, just like that bit of pressure as you bite down, the little give of something. Like if you bite into chocolate, the snap of it. You know, if you bite into pizza, like bite it and then drag it out as the cheese oozes and stretches across before it suddenly snaps and then it falls apart. Teeth. Yeah, teeth. It's not just about the taste, it's also about the teeth. That's all I'm saying. If you want to give a shout out to teeth and express your love for healthy teeth in the comments, then please do so. Do you want to say anything more about healthy teeth, Chris?
They're brilliant. They're great.
And ironically,
9 out of 10 dentists recommend.
If you seriously, 1 out of 10 dentists recommends you do not have healthy teeth.
There's always one.
Yay for teeth, says Chunky Piglets. It's lovely to have you in the chat. And mouthfeel is pretty brilliant. Yes, exactly. It's about the way that food feels in your mouth as you kind of pull it between your teeth, or you kind of bite into it, you pierce it, you crunch it. Teeth. That is our brilliant thing today. So now let's talk about recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights, recent highlights. And I invite anyone in the chat to tell us about recent highlights that they have had. Or Chris, you can share about the fact that you no longer have crowns. And Alan says yes for healthy teeth. Alan got an infection when Alan's wisdom teeth were taken out and had lumps in their mouth for almost a year, which made Alan look like a hamster. Where's that giant hamster wheel now? So yeah. Chris, do you want to talk about recent highlights?
Yeah, so okay, first of all, I had a tooth removed as well. I managed to fracture it on some Brock crackling because, you know, I love that stuff, but apparently it doesn't love me. So it was the only tooth that I had a filling in, so I've managed to improve my teeth track record by removing it altogether and saving myself £1,700. But also recently I bought a steering wheel for my PC, which is for racing, and I've gotten really good at it, and it's all I've done for the past week. And also you came around on Monday and we played some games, including 3 of the ones that we see on the camera there.
And because I personally do this show every day, I try to make it just about the previous day. And yesterday I did do a good bit of walking around. I walked the length that at the start of lockdown, back when I had a bit more willpower and stuff, I ran that a couple of times. But, you know, at least I got out of the house and I walked that distance and I listened to a podcast. I had a chat with a couple of folk, and then I came back and I bought, as suggested by Michael yesterday, a pie from the fish and chip shop. It wasn't amazing, but it was the first pie I've ever had from a fish and chip shop. And so, yeah.
Was it a pumpkin pie?
No. It wasn't. It
Okay.
was nothing like a Poker Pie.
Okay.
It was a pie from a fish and chip shop.
I know, but like fish and chip shops, like they're renowned for doing pucker pies for some reason.
Are they?
I thought so.
I mean, it might. This is information to me, but regardless, the point is that I enjoyed that, and also I played a couple of games with Layla. I'm going to stop the screen before I maybe share the and well, apparently Alan was going to ask the same thing. No, it wasn't a Poker Pie. Is this really such a thing? Okay, so this is from my Discord. I shared a few pictures. This is Ramen Fury. This is the game Ramen Fury, and I got 22. It was 22, 22, 23, so it was a very close game. I did not win. Player BEZ went for the chili pepper strategy, which normally give you negative points, but there are Fury cards in there which transformed them into positive 2 points each. But then Layla stole my Fury card, and then I did not know this, so I was basically going through the entire deck hoping for yet another Fury card. But then at the end, as you might be able to tell here, I did sort them all out because I was like, okay, how many are there in the deck? And basically there's 3 Fury cards, everything else there's 6 of, except for a couple of extra miso and 12 of those Furies. Anyway, the point is it's really aggressive. It's not like doing anything amazingly new, but it's just really well made. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of a bit of set collection. It reminds me vaguely of Point Salad in that you've got these little flavor cards that say, okay, for shrimp flavor, you want to get these sets, or for soy, you want to get unique vegetables, and there's some vegetables which are green and the meat which is red, and tofu is just the most amazing thing ever. That's, if there's one takeaway life lesson from this game, it's to eat more tofu, because tofu is both a meat and a veg according to the rules of this game, which I can dig it. And anyway, so you go in and you're making your tofu, and in each one of your bowls, which is a different scoring opportunity, you've got to have a flavor card, and you've got to have the ingredients which put different things in. And yeah, but you've got these little spoons which can steal other people's ingredients, and you've got the miso which can block people, but it gives, sorry, miso, it's mori, the seaweed which can block people but gives them a few points, and the chili which can block people, but they could potentially turn that around. And it makes sense now why there's only 3 of the Fury cards. But I feel like that's kind of information that you'd want to have in order to be able to play at a strategic level. But yeah, that was a really fun game. We also played Old Classic, Ticket to Ride New York, London even. Ticket to Ride London, great game. And I think, oh yeah, I did not win this one, even though I managed to get the 5 points for connecting all the 5s. And Ticket to Ride London, great game. You played this. What do you think of this one? Are you a fan?
What, Ticket to Ride London?
Yeah, specifically. Do you find much difference between London and New York?
Not particularly. I feel like they both follow a very similar sort of structure. But I do really enjoy both of them. I don't know. I think they're just fun. There's different ways that you can strategize, and everybody kind of understands the basic premise, which means that everybody kind of starts from the same level, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure if it's, it depends. I think it's definitely worth having one of them. That's my personal opinion. So Rob loves the packaging of Ramen Fury. And also built a chicken house yesterday. By the way, I agree about the packaging. That is 100% true. The chickens are a bit confused, but they will get used to their new house very soon. And Chunky Piglets has been playing the Spiekerstadt, which I played at one lovely game quite a bit going on, and we need to go deeper, which I do not know at all. And yeah, let me know if you want some kind of privacy while you do your eye drops.
Oh, they're done.
Sorry, I should have said in future.
Oh no, I'm just very forgetful. I was supposed to do it before the stream, including taking some painkillers, but you know, now or never. Yeah.
So you're taking your painkillers now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, better now than better late than never.
I've
And,
got to kill
yeah.
that pain. So.
And I don't know, Andrew Huang. So Andrew Huang did 4 producer series where musicians all take the same starting material and each makes a different track with it.
I'm gonna
That
check this
sounds
out.
really cool. Andrew Huang. So thanks for letting us know about that. And what have I been listening to? I've been listening to little bits of on-board games because I'm a few months behind, and that's the way I like to be. You know, have a few months and then I catch up, and then so I'm not just like, okay, 1 hour of this show, and it's like, okay, I've got a good few hours of this show lined up for the next week, and I'm listening to something for half a week. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But apparently Andrew Huang is on YouTube. And We Need to Go Deeper is a Victorian co-op game on a submarine. Sounds fancy. And I'm liking the fact that everyone has something that they are excited to share. So thank you very much, everyone. And I hope that you are all having generally good times. As we go into the main topics, as we start talking about one of these games, you know, specifically, I'm going to have a banner. The plan is for Chris to cut these apart, and then we'll put them onto Board Game Geek. Although I noticed that Present isn't actually even on Board Game Geek. I will go into that a wee bit. It's the same designer as Abracadawat, and also this other game that I happen to have. I got it from Mark Cook of Aircon. That's a very low price, but I've not played it yet. I read it and it was like, oh, this sounds a bit quite complex. And anyway, but the designer is from those board games. But yeah, once we're getting into one of these things, we will maybe not be interacting so much with the chats. It will be like more focused on the game. But if you have any comments about the game, then we'd love to hear your opinion, and we will kind of, you know, very much appreciate those questions. And if you've got totally off-topic questions or comments, then, you know, whilst the time to ask us our favorite fish might be better suited to the next morning that we meet, and I would have to actually spend a bit of time pondering that now that I've said that. But I quite like rock for the taste, or I like, you know, a wild trout or salmon for the kind of majesty of it. But anyway, if you want to hear more favorite things like that, you know, another time, but we will also catch up with chat in between each of our game reviews, if that makes sense. Is there anything else that I need to say, Chris?
You're asking me?
Best and Friends Game Day will return January the 9th, and we are now reviewing various games. And yep, if there is anything that anyone would like to hear about, and I will stop sharing this screen, and I will change this thing, put it here, change it to that, and move these here. And let's do a quick explanation of these games. So just to say, yeah, these are 3 games that we've played recently, and we played last week. One, I'm just going to say, like, if you've watched this show before, you know that one of these games we really love. And yeah, what order do you want to talk about these games in, Chris? Do you have any preference?
Let's leave the longest one till last.
The longest one?
Yeah, as in keep our viewers anticipating our favorite one.
Oh. And that is the games that we're going to talk about today. And I will explain why I've got 2 copies of Crow's Overkill. Okay, so we'll maybe go in disorder. Does that seem reasonable? Going from right to left.
Yep.
Okay. So I will put that. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so yeah, no one knows what our favorite game is.
Oh no,
Do
not
they?
at all.
And let me oh, there's a little.
They'll never guess.
Okay. Now I'm going to put on the banner so that Chris, you'll be able to find out when go live. Okay. Overkill. Okay.
Overkill.
Crow's Overkill. This is a game originally published by Emperor 54. I've got the original version, which has English, Japanese, and I think this is Taiwanese text. And actually, this is a terrible camera. Let me restart. Let me bring this down a wee bit. What do you think, Chris? Is this better?
For now.
Yeah, for this game. And maybe I'll pop this to the bottom of the screen. Okay, so Crow's Overkill. I've got 2 copies of this. And let me start off with my full disclosure, like how I got this game. And also, I have 2 copies of it because I'm not in the habit of buying multiple copies of games. But I did have 2 brand new copies. So the reason for that is that I traded for one at Essen. Like, it's just something I do. I go around and I'm like, oh, let me trade a copy of my game for a copy of your game, because it's a way to, expand my collection, to see what else is out there, to try games that some of them aren't even on Board Game Geek. And yeah, some of them, they might be really hard to get hold of, but it's like a way of trying out lots of different games, and also a way of connecting with other designers. Do you know what I mean? And I really like that. Like, some of the games I've really enjoyed, some of the games I've enjoyed a bit less. The second copy I got because Deepwater Games were doing a package of games quite a few months ago, where they said, okay, you can get this package of game for a significantly discounted price. I think it was about 6-7 games in one box. I was quite astonished at how cheap the shipping was. I think it was from their US depot, but it didn't make sense to me how. But anyway, so Crow's Overkill was one of the games in that, but I was interested in the other 5 games in the box. But when I got it, I was interested to just compare a little bit of the difference between the editions. So today, I'm going to not only say what we thought of this game, because Chris and I, and also, full disclosure, we have only played this game 2 times, in one sitting as a 3-player game. So that is it. So this is more of a first impression, but, it might be the only review that I do, possibly. We'll get into that in a wee bit. So, yeah. Let's look at the side of the box. It says 15 minutes, 10 plus. Would you agree with that?
I think maybe 10 plus is a little over the age in which I'd say that you would be able to play this, but I'd assume that they have maybe reasons. I don't know.
You
And
think
maybe it's
that
the
you
original
could...
premise.
So, do you want to explain what the premise is? Because it involves, okay, this is not a family-friendly game. This game involves sex work, and I'm not even joking. There's sex workers, there's murder, there's random murdering birds. It's really almost disturbing and dark. Do you want to explain it, if as best you remember it, or shall I?
Okay, so from what I remember of the original premise of Crow's Overkill, so you have gone to see a sex worker, and the way that they judge whether or not your time in said room with this person is up or not, is whether or not a bird or a selection of birds at given times will make a noise or crow, or for instance an owl screeching, or whatever the bird happens to be. And your point, your premise is to try and murder the birds, so there's not too many of them, so they won't crow, and you can stay in the room longer. That's pretty much what I remember, and I'm fairly certain that's like pretty close.
Yes, that is exactly the story. It is. I mean, it's almost beggars belief. I'm going to now read from the manual. Based on an old song, Sanzen Sekai no Karasu wo Koroshi, Nushi to Asane gam shitimitai, which means, when a crow cries, I must leave this place. I would kill crows all over the world just to stay with you a little longer. And apparently there was someone called Takasugi Shinsaku, an essential figure of the early Meiji Restoration, and it says the song expresses his longing to prolong this amorous time, even for a short while. I mean, it is a pretty, crazy theme for a game. Yeah,
the murder of crows.
So potentially, maybe 10 plus is a bit low. I mean, given the theme of the game, that it's about murdering birds in order to stay in brothel longer. Yeah, I would kind of agree. And yes, it is. Yep. Oh, yep. I honestly, I'm still struggling to comprehend this. And I guess, is this just a cultural difference that for, that maybe it's a lot more allowed over there? I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe, I guess, if it's a well-established story or song or phrase that's used, perhaps it's more child appropriate, I guess, if people are already aware of that.
Yeah, I guess if it's like a big thing, then yeah, it's maybe a similar way to how a lot of our fairy tales, if you think about them, are actually pretty murderous and dark. Like at least the original versions. Like I hear that in what's that one with the glass slippers, Cinderella, and then the ugly sisters apparently one cuts off their heel and one cuts off their toes in order to fit into the shoe. It's like cruelly dark. And there's one about, I mean, I'm just going to, like, while I'm talking about this game, this is going to be a dark review. Like, also, like that one about the pigs and the wolf, where all the goats, the mother cuts open the stomach of the wolf, and then the goats, apparently they're still alive, which doesn't work at all, but then they come out, and then the mother puts in 3 stones into the wolf's belly and then stitches it back up. I mean, yeah, it's... So, Chunky Piglet asks, are the cards explicit? No, the cards don't tell you anything about that. So the cards are vaguely themed around things that you would find in that situation, let's say. This is the original version of the cards, and you can see the Deepwater Games has changed things in so much as they have removed the trilingual nature of the original. They've kept a little banner on the left because that's quite nice, but I would say there's still some grammatical issues. Copy the effect of the top card of the discard pile, or reflect the effect that targets you to another player. I mean, yeah, reflect an effect targeting you, or at best it should be reflect the effect that targets you. But, both this bit, I mean,
I think we
there.
found that interesting just because it was the second iteration as well, and they purposefully removed the tri-language factor of the original, and yet they hadn't corrected the grammatical errors in that one. Well, that one, but there's multiple throughout the cards.
I mean, so what is this game all about? Let me. Which one should I go with? Let's go with. Yeah, it's a big version, and okay, it's all about having these birds in front of you. You start off with a bunch of birds. It doesn't really matter how many, and every turn. And if you've got too many birds, then you're going to be kicked out. So at
Or
4
of certain birds.
Yeah. So here, this is saying, and this is iconography. That's how I actually need to look up to remember, which is not the best sign, but it's saying that you can have 5 of. Yeah, I can't even.
Crows.
Then why is it 4 a.m.? 5 crow. Isn't that 5 bats? And no, it's 8 crows, 5 crows.
Any bats you have to get rid of first, but they're not. They don't usually stop you from progressing because they don't make a noise, apparently.
Okay, so it's got crows and cocks here. So if you've got either 3 crows or 2 cocks, then you lose. In this game, you're going to be picking up some bird cards that get put into your personal area, which are bad. You're going to get some of these shamisen cards, which are cards that allow you to do things, and they might allow you to move your bird cards to someone else. Give bird cards to other people to annoy them. It helps you survive. This is a player elimination game where if you've got too many birds at a certain time, then you're out of the game. And as the game goes on, you get... Every so often, there's a bell card in the shamisen pile, and then time progresses. So from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. to 6 a.m., you can see that what would kick you out of the game. Oh wait, has my thing? What's wrong with my phone? I guess sorry, it's just lagged a bit there. But yeah, you're more likely to get kicked out of the game, and at some point you're going to be eliminated, and then everyone plays until there's only one player left, and that is the game. I mean, if you want to work out how to play it, there's other material. I just want to give a very quick overview of that, in so much as to say, you know what, if you don't want a crazy, chaotic game, this is not for you. This is not the style of game it is. What is it trying to be? It is trying to be a crazy, chaotic game. It is trying to be... Maybe it's trying to elicit a little bit of the theme, because it's got, okay, as time goes on, it gets harder and harder to stay in this brothel. And yeah, I mean, what do you think this game was trying to do?
As you said, I think it is kind of that breeding of chaos, because for example, the owls, if one of those is revealed into your personal pile, then you have to get rid of it before the end of the turn, otherwise you're out as well. I ended up getting 2 of those, I think, in my first round, which was quite funny, considering there's only 2 in the deck. Yeah, I do enjoy the kind of the chaotic nature of the shamisen cards, and the effects that you can do with them, such as you can shuffle everything that exists out on the table and then deal equally to everybody again. So if you've got like 12 and everybody else has got 1 each, then you can sort of equalize the playing field a little bit more. I like the effect that you have to get rid of the bats before you have to get rid of other things. It's like a prerequisite to doing certain things, but if you have certain cards, you don't have to get rid of the bats. It is very chaotic. I think that's the only way to really explain it. I do really enjoy the illustrations, though. I like the
I
bird
found
card.
the illustrations delightful. I just think they're beautiful, and they remind me of like a lot of those prints of the era.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that the 2 crow cards, so some of the crows have 1 crow or 2 crows or 3 crows, that you get what comes after number 2, but all of them have different illustrations. It's appreciated, these little touches, and you say, okay, there we go.
One thing we never figured out was whether or not certain things get rid of a whole card or whether they get rid of 1 bird, because it wasn't really specified there either. So
it wasn't 100% clear all the time, and yeah, I would say that is a shortcoming, thanks to some of the like when it's, I mean, yes, when it's move up to 2 birds, I think we have to assume that's up to 2 birds, not up to 2 birds cards. There's just some text where it doesn't. I don't know. It would just be nice if it's specified that somewhere, at least in the rules, because over here, it's got this appendix of the shamisen cards, but it literally gives you no extra information. It's just basically a cards list. So it's just reiterating the information that you would get, so you would know the numbers of these cards, and so you know what's in the deck. But it doesn't even feel like there's a possibility. And cancel the effects of a card targets you. That again. This is Nightbird, the most chaotic game card in the deck. Shuffle all of your bird cards, starting from you in clockwise order. Deal 1 card to each player face up until finished. And so, yeah, you can get stuff that kills everything of 1 type. You could get stuff that kills 1 thing of a type. And there's a lot of variance in the efficacy of these games. And yeah, it's the kind of game where, okay, I'm just going to say it, that I don't like this game because, for me personally, I feel like there's too much text for the chaotic random nature of the game. I feel like there's a lot to read on pretty much every card. And I feel like, the player elimination, it's a really strong turn-off for me. And yeah, I know some people don't hate player elimination as much as I do, but that's a really strong turn-off for me. And that's just my personal opinion. Those are the 2 things that irk me the most. Yeah, the amount of text, the fact that some of them are actually unclear given the bad English, let's say, and also the fact that you can be stuck out of the game for most of the game, potentially. And I know it's only a 15-minute game, but even so, I don't know, just player elimination just sits so wrongly with me. But if you're down with player elimination, if you're happy to read a bit of stuff, then yeah, sure, this might be for you. I would say that, yeah, it certainly comes from a vaguely similar mindset as Exploding Kittens or my own Kitty Cataclysm. If you're familiar with those, then it does have a similar, hey, we're going to mess everyone up. But Exploding Kittens, it actually has that tension. Every card draw, is this going to be an explosion? Is it not? And that simplicity I actually really appreciate. I mean, for all the people who said, oh, Exploding Kittens is rubbish, Exploding Kittens, it is actually being every card draw, it's like, is this going to be the one that makes me explode? But in here, when there's like a limit, I don't feel that same tension about the owl. I don't feel like, oh, am I going to get the owl? Oh, I got the owl. Oh, no. and now I've got to resolve it. It's just doesn't. It never had that same excitement for me. And frankly, when someone is able to mix all the cards together, it means that I can't plan any further than this turn. I can't even plan to my next turn. Whereas, yeah, in Kitty Cataclysm, you can pass 2 cards left, and that does a lot of passing, or even everyone loses 3 cards, or even everyone loses half their cards. And in Exploding Kittens, sure, you can steal cards one at a time, but you can't just shuffle everything and pass around everything, or swap everything with one other player, or yeah, there's just so much that can be done in this game.
You could swap like one type of bird as well, couldn't you, altogether, which was very chaotic. At one point, I think I'd amassed like 8 crows and then swapped them all with like somebody who had none. And according to the rules, apparently you could do that as well. So, which seemed crazy. I do like the idea that you're in a brothel, and I'm assuming all these rooms are probably nearby each other, but you're more than welcome to just push your crows next door. That's fine. And there's a possibility that you'd want to stay there from 4 a.m. to, what is it, like 12 p.m.?
I mean, it's let me double check. It's from 2 a.m. until 8 a.m. 2,
6
4,
hours.
6, 8. I mean, I think the point is that, you know, culturally, it's not just about having sex. There's a lot of, you know, romance in a brothel, potentially. Can I just talk about the size of the boxes?
Yes.
I mean, it kind of... it saddens me that this is clearly, you know, American and Asian, and this actually has 2 more manuals, and yeah, I'm not saying there's a big difference, but you know, it just feels I just get saddened by things, and I'm just going to say this is a fine box. It's got plenty of finger holes to kind of actually be able to take the thing out, but you know, here there's enough space. You can take all these cards out fine, and you know, you need more.
I think like we mentioned when we were there, maybe for the American market, they just wanted bigger finger holes. That's the only thing I can assume. Either that or they wanted more shelf space. But yeah, it does feel a bit meh.
I mean, that's what it's all about. And I just want to say, you know, publishers, please stop doing this. Like, I understand that this is your default box size. Also, Deepwater Games, this is your default box size. But, I mean, couldn't you make a slightly smaller box size and have a new range? Do you know? It just feels like, please, publishers. And if you look at the site, sorry, there we go. The sides of the box, you let me actually, here we go. Now you can see it quite clearly. It's also a little bit, a good portion thinner on this side. It's basically smaller in literally every dimension. And this one feels like, okay, if you have a ginormous jacket pocket, you might just about be able to fit it in. And even this box, frankly, I would say if they'd actually been a bit more efficient, like put these on top of each other, you know, that would have been a nicer, neater box, personally. Even the original box, I feel... I mean, I know I'm more annoyed by that, and people who just have one game, and, you know, it's an issue of complacency or of abundance of games, because when you have like so many games, it's hey, I don't want my games to take up so much space. But even if you only, I mean, how many games do you have, Chris? You've got like 6?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably about 8 or 9, maybe.
And so,
at
like,
most.
like you have a fair collection of games. Like I mean, compared to someone who doesn't play games at all, like you're definitely someone who plays games, but I mean, a lot of people say, okay, you've got like a small collection of games, but like, don't you think like if this were like just if it could fit into, let me have a look at another box, and if it could fit into a small box, how much of a difference do you think that makes to you? I'm also interested to hear from other people. Does that box size make a big difference to you? Like, do you care about it at all? Because
I mean, I think personally the difference between a small card box and anything above that's probably where you make the biggest difference. Once you start going like beyond the size of the bigger Crows Overkill sort of box, that's when it starts to get a little bit more frustrating and annoying, I think, when I'm like trying to organize and put away my games. For example, there are some that are like really, really big. George has what's it? It's based off of a actual video game, and it's got little meeples in it and stuff like that. But it's a massive box, and it doesn't even fit on the shelf with the rest of them. It's so big. And you've got the other one, which is Labyrinth, that we've got, which is the other big box. But at least with that one, you know that the board itself is quite large and it does fit perfectly. Everything's got a little space for it. Sure, it could be folded maybe one more time, but ultimately, I think it works just right. And it does kind of frustrate me, I think, just in general, the extra packaging. And I think that comes from a more ecological point of view, I think, because even when I go to the shops and stuff, like I hate when they put massive boxes on the shelf. You take it all out, you take out all the packaging, and you're left with an item about, a tenth of the size of the box. It's just not necessary.
And yes, deep water games do have standard box sizes, but still, look, I'm just pointing out that all the cards are able to fit into this tiny box here. And yeah, that is the height of the original box. Okay, you don't have the instructions, but I would say if you allowed double the thickness for the instructions, you could get that with maybe 1 more millimeter. Again, this comes into standard box sizes, and standard box sizes are cheaper to print for sure, and I'm aware of that. And yes, it's marketing, but I'm just annoyed with this. I don't think we should stand it for it. It's like,
I mean, imagine if you walked into a shop and there was just, loads of card box size. There was loads of card box sizes on the shelf. I think in one way it would be like kid in a candy store. There's so many options. You would have a lot more space for a lot more different types of games. You wouldn't just see Monopoly taking up a whole aisle on the game shop stuff. But in another sense, I feel like if all of them were yay size, then I think it might breed a bit more of a confusion. You wouldn't be able to instantly spot something that catches your eye and goes, "Oh, that's different from everything else," because look at the branding or the marketing. Or I do agree that it would be nicer if designers and publishers made things that were equivalent to the size of the game itself. But in other ways, I do kind of understand that, in the same way that you don't want to go into a shop and see everything the same size or everything the same color, or it kind of feels a bit nicer. You're able to instantly recognize what might be appealing to you.
And I guess this is a bit of a tangent from reviewing the game, but because it's just such a general thing, but it's so clearly pointed out by the fact that, okay, we've got the Asian version, the American version, and all of the cards are that size. Let me pop it there. And that just feels very wrong to me. That I just don't think I'm just kind of going to say, hey,
What
people.
if they made games within the box size, that physically limitation of the game, everything as small as possible, and then they had a bigger box that they put on the shelf for marketing or branding or whatever, and then when you bought the game, you take it home, and then you've got a little box to put on your shelf, which is just enough size for the game, and then the big box you can recycle or, you know, get rid of as pleased.
But again, that does go into massive waste. And the other thing, okay, let's say that it's one of those things of tragedy of the commons. That's if everyone were to go with small boxes, and let's say everyone were to, and yes, if everyone were to go with boxes that were this size, because that is what you could actually put it in. Imagine a shop that was selling a whole bunch of Oink games and a bunch of stuff by BEZ and a bunch of other games that were this size. You know, if you had this little, if more publishers were to push for this, I believe that more shops would say, okay, we've got these big box games, these little games, and these are the boutique games. And maybe people would start to understand, hey, in the same way that Oink Games, Deep Sea Adventure, yes, the original version, it came in a small box. And then when it went to America, big box. That's the, like, Europe, small box, America, big box. And I think that it's partially because even in Europe, we're more sensitive to space. And in America, people don't care. I've seen pictures of people having amazingly big houses because they have so much space. And
But also, you have to remember that America is kind of bred on the space of, you know, unlimited, essentially. You know, only a portion of America is actually populated anyway. So I think for them, space isn't an issue at all. If you go to a shopping center in America, the parking lot will be 4 times the size of the actual, you know, shopping center itself, and that means people have to drive. So it's kind of like a yeah. Anyway.
And it's like, I think it is all about this perceived value. But I mean, you know, we should probably have, I really do want to talk about box sizes in general, like an entire episode. I just want to have an entire episode where I just rant for about 2 hours about how much I hate big boxes. And I cannot lie. I will not lie. I mean, I could lie, but I'm not going to. They did the opposite with Button Shy. The European releases of those come in a small box rather than a tiny wallet, says Alex. And because Button Shy games, for those who don't know, are 18 card games that come in literally a plastic wallet, similar to those that you might get an Oyster card in, if you're familiar with those. And then, yes, this tiny game. I don't think you've played any of those, have you, Chris?
I'm not sure.
I've got Dragon Punch. Anyway, I've got one that was published by. I've got 2 games I think that were done by Button Shy, but yeah, that's a lovely thing, and that's their entire selling model. And I think what I would love to see is more companies saying, "Hey, let's actually go not just to the teeny tiny little things, but also like, yeah, when it is just a box that's marginally bigger than a deck of cards, let's say this is still potentially worth 25 quid, because you could fit this with so much value. There could be a lot going on in the game. There could be so much. It's all about the work that's gone into the game, the pieces. There could be little tokens and meatballs, and yeah. And
I guess
yeah.
it's also about marketing to the average consumer as well, because ultimately, sure, we're all into board games and we all appreciate the idea of compressing things, but I think to an average person, like if you try to sell them a tiny box for, you know, £25, then they're probably going to be a little bit less receptive than if it is a huge box, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
that's
if
the
the
thing.
huge box is actually a crap game and the tiny box is actually well played and thought out and works better, but I guess, you know, these are the same people that buy Monopoly, so.
But so yeah, going through the cards, you can see the original version has exactly the same thing. What was your favorite thing about this game?
Probably the story.
Yeah,
It's so random, and I didn't expect it for a game. I won't lie.
it is a pretty weird story, and I appreciate knowing about that story for sure. I mean, again, yeah, I do like the illustrations. I like the fact that, yeah, it's if you want to have like something that's got the most possible amount of chaos, then this feels like a good game for you. If you've played like what I consider to be a chaotic game, and it's like, no, this isn't enough chaos for me, then this is a good game. Like, I mean, it seems churlish to publicly compare this to something I made, but like, I'm clearly not a fan of player elimination. I feel like I like to be able to personally plan a little bit, at least my next move, even in a chaotic game. And I guess that's reflected. And so for that reason, but not everyone is going to have the same taste as me, obviously. And our tastes are somewhat similar. But if you really want to have a game where all you can plan is that one turn, and you have no idea what's going to go on, and you don't mind reading a bunch of text, and it feels like a good game for you. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think the best thing look, this owl, I think that's a really nice illustration.
That's actually something I forgot about. The illustrations are really, really nice in this.
We did mention that. Would
I meant as my favorite point, sorry.
And hello, Xates, who just popped into chat. And Alex asks, would I be comfortable cutting the box to make it smaller? Personally, I wouldn't want to do that. Overall opinion, like, as we know, like, I am going to Thailand in a few months. What am I going to do with this game? I am going to sell it on or give it away. I'm definitely not going to keep it. I would probably look at how much it's false well, but yeah, I have personally, I'm glad that I played it. I'm glad that, there's a super chaotic game. If you feel like, I get like it's not even the most amount of chaos. Now I think about it, if you really want the most chaos, then We Didn't Playtest This At All is even more chaos. And, oh yeah, sorry, going back to Alex's question, I don't think that I should be, changing packaging for that sake. I would rather have something that's nicely printed but just smaller, and if I want to resell it, then obviously that's going to hurt the resale value. And so, yeah, We Didn't Playtest This At All. I think that if you want the ultimate chaos, that's a good game. If you want a bit less chaos, then, sure, it harkens back to Flux. It, like, I was probably inspired from a similar point of view, but went off in a slightly different direction to Kitty Cataclysm. It's, yeah, I feel like this is almost as much chaos as We Didn't Playtest This At All, but for me, if I were to recommend one game in this entire genre, it would be We Didn't Playtest This At All Legacies, which I will review another time. But yeah, I feel cautious about. I don't want don't like being really negative about things, there is definitely something really wonderful about the fact that we're now getting games of other cultures. And yeah, Princess Rael, sorry, I'm not sure how I pronounce your name, Princess Rael, says that we didn't place this at all, is chaotic and silly, whereas this one just seems a bit too serious whilst also being chaotic. And yeah. Anything more that we want to say about this?
No.
Wait, yep, so that's the review, and yep, I guess if we're going to split this up, I should say, for more reviews, check me out. I'm live streaming currently, 10 a.m. UK time. I've been Bez, and this has been Chris, and this has been Crow's Overkill, and our final rating, if we wanted to give it our personal opinions, anywhere from 2 thumbs up to 2 thumbs down. Do you have a number in mind?
Yeah, I think I've got a number in mind.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that is our final personal analysis of the game. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Bye-bye. And now, for you who are watching live, of course, we're
not going anywhere. Don't worry, we're still here.
That is that. Yep, I mean, it's difficult doing a review of something that you really, I'm not saying I don't respect Deep Water games. I'm not saying that title, because obviously the people who works on this works really hard. It takes so much work to make a game, but you get where I'm coming from. We'll talk about presents next, and I'm going to mention that the designer also made these 2 games. Only one of which we've actually played, but it's just I double-checked on Board Game Geek, and so I can work out that this is definitely by the same designer, even though this isn't actually listed on Board Game Geek. And Cheap Sheep Games was apparently worried that we were just going off. Don't worry about that. We're all good. Okay. And now, again, I'm Bez.
I'm Chris.
And we're reviewing this game, Present. And this is a game by Gun-hee Kim from Magpie Games, and it's not at the time of recording actually even on Board Game Geek. I believe it is from the same designer, also known as Gary Kim. I think that's their Western name for Abracadabra, and Gun-hee Kim from Magpie Games for Koryu. Anyway, so that is the designer. Full disclosure, I got this game essentially for free. I traded for it for, it might have been first edition. I can't remember what I traded for it. It was at the end of one of the Essens. I was running around and being like, yeah, I don't want to take back so many of my own games. Let's trade for it. Let's see what other people have got. And yeah, it's, again, a nice way of getting new games and seeing what people in Korea are working on. So, what is this game all about? You've got the Korean instructions, you've got the printed English instructions, which they gave me because I was getting it at Essen, and they accepted that I probably wouldn't know how to read Korean, because, hey, we're ignorant like that. We've got the little buffer, which we've chatted about how it would be nice if more games were the exact size they need, but hey-ho, that's the case with publishing and marketing and shelf space. People always want more shelf space. It is a game in which you have a whole bunch of cards. Every card has a number on it, anywhere from -10 up to up to positive 10. And you've also got these special magic wand cards, which I love the illustration on these. And these effectively reverse the positivity or negativity of one of your cards. So it turns one negative into a positive. So if you've got a bomb of negative 10, and then you've got this as well, well, boom, you're laughing. The entire game is a case of just giving a card to someone else and saying, hey, Chris, this is something that you might want. And then Chris says,
no thanks.
Oh. And I get stuck with -5. And then on McCall's turn, for example, McCall says, hey, Chris, this is something that I think we could both enjoy. And Chris says,
thank you.
And Chris gets 8 points.
Yes.
That's the entire game. So, yeah, we are basically, according to the rules of the game, you don't even vary up what you're saying. You're literally just meant to say, it's a present. I've played this game twice, I believe. One time when I just got it, one time last Monday, and the first time we played with the rules exactly as written. The second time we made a slight house rule where you have to say something about what you're doing. So you have to say, oh, this is something that has some, you've got to give a vague lie or truth about it so that the other person has something to go on. That is it. Only played it twice. Again, this is first impressions, but this might be the only review you ever get of it from literally anyone in the world, seeing as it's not even on Board Game Geek right now. And at some points, you get one of these cards, which you are able to choose from either Happy Birthday, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, or Congratulations. Not multiple, just the one. I mean, you don't deserve more than one congratulation, just to make it clear. But yeah, when one of these cards comes out and you shuffle that into the bottom few cards of the deck, that's the end of the game, and everyone shows off their last few cards and gives them away, and game over. Add up all the points in front of you, and whoever has the most points wins. So yeah, what did you think of this? What was your overall opinion?
You know what? I really enjoyed this game. I preferred it when we house ruled it, so we could say kind of all the things that we wanted to say, and be a bit more creative with it. I think that's definitely where the enjoyment from the game came in a bit more.
Yeah, like this is one. It feels like a game that's trying to take bluffing to its simplest format. It feels like it's trying to say, hey, this is the simplest bluffing game you can get. I mean, again, it feels commercially, but if there's a much better game that does a similar thing, I'm just going to put it out there. And I'm just going to say, yeah, look, Kakarlak and Poker, it feels like, for me, the slight downfall here is the amount of arithmetic that needs to be done at the end. That's at the end, having to add up all these numbers, and potentially, if you're tired, being like, okay, what is 9 plus 9, 18, 22, okay, minus 6 is 16, 14, okay, 14 minus 8 is 6, 8.
I'll be right back,
6.
Sorry.
Okay. Minus 6 is, I've forgotten where I was now. And you get the point. There's like a bit to think about, and that feels like it takes the age up quite a bit. It feels like it adds possibly. It feels having the entire scope from -10 to +10. To me, it feels like too much maths. I feel like, you could have maybe had a few more things that were maybe try to shrink it a bit. Maybe I have 1 to 5 in both directions, and then you'd have more things that just cancel out. It would be more easy to just find things that had up to 10, which is a way that some people do their arithmetic. I also like that Kakerlak and Poker, it just eschews that entire how are we going to do arithmetic in terms of like, okay, once you get a certain number of a bad thing, that's it. It goes in front of you. And also here, okay, I'm just saying things I don't like, which is a negative start to the review, I will admit. But according to the rules as written, what you're meant to say is you give it to one of the other players saying it's a gift. The receiver has to, well, I'm correcting the English slightly. The receiver have to decide whether to get the card or not. So all you're meant to say is it's a present. Now that isn't an interesting bluff if I just say it's a present, it's a present, it's a present. That, but once you are able to get into it and say, hey, Chris, this is something that you could potentially wear, and then Chris flips it on its ring, but next time I say, hey, Chris, this is something you could potentially wear, and Chris says, okay, well, and I say, well, you could, because you could put it on your body, you know, you could wear a bin bag and a lot of rubbish, but I don't know, it having to say a truth or a distruth rather than just saying it's a present, you don't get any bluff from that, because when you're playing a bluffing game, it's not just about is this person doing a good thing or a bad thing. You want some sort of information. You want them to be making some statement that changes. In poker, it's about I am pushing all my chips into the middle. That suggests that I have a really good bunch of cards. Either I have a really good bunch of cards or I'm bluffing. Now it's up to you to decide. In Magic the Gathering, I attack with my 1/1 creature. You've got a free creature. Either I have a Giant's Growth in my hand, which makes it strong enough for one turn to kill your creature, even though it's better, or I'm bluffing. But then there's context. There's all these things around it. Kakerlak and Poker, at least I've got to say, hey, this is a cockroach. And whether it is or not, I've said something. And by the intonation in my voice, you might be able to discern, am I lying or am I not? If I say, hey, this is a fly. And when someone picks it up and passes it on to the other person, conversely, this game, as rules as written, all you say is this is a present, and that frustrates me to no end. Sorry for the wee bits of a rant. And again, let's go to the side. So it says 15 minutes, which I would agree with. 2 to 6 players, which sure I can agree with, yeah. And 6+. Sure, 6+ could easily play it for the most part. I will just say that even an adult, like the amount of arithmetic that you have at the end, like even a tired adult might easily, a tired intelligent adult might be like, you know what, it's just too late. I can't be bothered doing this arithmetic. And now let's get to the reasons that I love this game, because that's what I really want to. I want to make sure that I talk about why I love games. And so what are the things that I love? Well, firstly, the illustrations, they are cute. They're very cute. You've got the trainers, and then sometimes you've got bad versions of things, because obviously you can't have a bad ring, but you could have like just an empty box. Or with trainers, you might have where is it? Keep the trainers in your head, because somewhere along the way we do have bad trainers. But, you know, they're just quite cute. They're quite colorful. And I like that. That's what I'm going to say. I like the fact that negative cards have this black dotsy pattern. It helps if you know, gives a clear visual indication, so you don't even have to look at the corner to see the little negative sign or the fact that it's black to see that it's bad. And yeah, there's the good trainers and the bad trainers. Yeah, I like the art. I like the fact that the graphic design is good, and yeah, I like the fact that they've got 4 cards here that you can potentially call it a Christmas themed game. It's a cheap way to say, hey, this game, yeah, you could play it at Christmas. And there's something nice about that. That's okay, you're not normally going to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, or Happy Birthday. But I guess this is a game that the expectation is you play it only at special times of the year. And yeah, we decided that congratulation felt like the most appropriate. So like, hey, congratulations, you managed to make it through most of 2020 so far. But anyway, I don't have much more to say about this game. Yeah, given that this game isn't even on Board Game Geek, and if anyone else has any more questions, then I feel like they should be asked. I almost feel like how, seeing as it isn't on Board Game Geek, now I'm just curious as to what the distribution of numbers is. Like, this is the net. Like, that is a fun box cover, isn't it? It's kind of slightly evil, slightly Machiavellian, and yeah, I guess like this ties into the whole avoiding maths in games, and like these are the thing that really gives the game any sense of, oh, this is super exciting. And for sure, the fact that you might get to -7, but you might have a positive 10 later on to kind of balance it out. It feels quite nice, maybe. Maybe that's a good thing. Yeah, it's a game. It's if I had to give it a score personally, I would probably, on my universal 2 thumbs up, I would be giving it the 1 thumb down. I am not going to be keeping this game beyond if anyone feels like they would enjoy this game, then please let me know. There's no planning that you can do. I guess I just don't see. It comes back to what information are you given to make these choices on. It comes back to me to the days when I used to be saying, hey, you're in a tunnel, and then do you go left or do you go right? And, they used to do that back in the day of the first Fighting Fantasy book. And it's literally just, do you go left or do you go right? And there's literally no other information. But I just feel like for these days, like, even if it's a children's game, give us a little bit more information, and let's have something. If someone has to say, okay, this is a box, maybe that's it. Maybe this is meant to be a bluffing game when you don't want to lie. That's it. I've just realized that's what the game is. It's a bluff. If you want to play a bluffing game, but you do not want to lie, then this game, the rules as written, this is great for you. So that is my final analysis. Yep, this certainly is a game, says Alex. Do you think it's easier to teach than cockroach poker or kakerlaken poker? No, I would not. Maybe. Look, it's easier to teach. If you wanted to teach someone to just go through the motions of offering cards to other people, I would say, sure, it's maybe 90% the complexity of if you remove any sense of how you're adding up your score at the end. Just ignore the addition at the end. I reckon that I could get a 4-year-old to play this, and for sure. But kakerlaken poker, maybe, yeah. yeah, saying you need. I don't know. It feels just as easy. But Chris, I just realised. Oh, Chris is gone again. How would I rate this game using the BGG star rating system? I'm not sure I want to do that. Yeah, I'll do an episode, but I'm kind of not entirely sure if I want to do star ratings at all. Because yeah, for me there's too much, oh, this is a good thing, this is a bad. And in case anyone was curious, there's 2 of every card except for the 10s. And so, yep. Oh, no, at least for the negatives, 2 of everything except for the 10s. For the positive, it's 3 of these. And it would be on the lower end, let me put it that way. But there's an associated thing with, should we be rating our own games? So that is how the frequencies of cards line up. This makes sense to me. I like this. 110 and more of the positives than the negatives, so it is going to outweigh each other. I appreciate this, not to mention the fact that you've got 4 magic wands, and the magic wands are really going to be the exciting moments where it's like, yeah, I managed to get a magic wand, or no, I didn't get the magic wand. Oh. And so I guess if you've played the game a few times, maybe if you say, oh, it's a present, maybe you could elicit a little bit more excitement in the other person's voice. But yeah, I don't have anything more to say about this. So sorry about Chris disappearing. I'm sure there's a good reason, and but yeah, unless anyone else has anything more to say about this, I feel like I've done my job of my personal thing of saying goodbye to this game. So yeah, who's it for? If you like the idea of a bluffing game, but you don't want to ever lie, this is a good game. That's the big pro. The art, it's lovely. I personally find the arithmetic and the lack of any information. I find the arithmetic a bit excessive for the style of game it is. I find the lack of information robs the game of any meaning, and that is my personal opinion of it. That is a game that someone in Korea, Gunhee Kim, made, and there was lovely bits of work done to it, and so yeah, present. I guess, yeah. And again, it is another game that could come in a card box. And so yeah, let's just... Where's my box for illustration purposes? And, you know, still plenty of space left around the edge for cards. Again, it's all about the shelf presence. Come on, publishers, let's stop doing that. I'm going to make a point of saying that in every single review now, until I find the games that aren't more than half the size that they could be. So, present. That was a game, and that was my review. I've been BEZ, and I'm streaming at 10 a.m. UK time, and there's more reviews. YouTube. I should actually just pop up my banner at this point, I guess. Oh, Chris, sorry I finished talking about this.
Hello.
But
That's okay.
I decided in final summary that it's a good game if you like bluffing games but you don't want to lie. I was really proud of myself for realizing that. And also the art is nice, but on the downside, arithmetic and yeah, no information upon which to base your thing.
Yeah.
And that's me. So yeah, do we want to do the final scoring?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I feel... Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, are you saying that you would actually like to play this game again?
I mean, considering how quick and chaotic it is, I actually quite enjoy the whole randomness to it. I would like to play it with more people, though.
Yeah, that's fair. It is 2 to 6 anyway. Like, if you want it, you can have it. Do you want it?
No.
Okay. Well, so it's good enough to play, but not good enough to own, is the Chris statement.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And for me, I'm not going to say I would refuse to play it again, but I wouldn't choose to do so. And that is the end of that review. Wait. So, okay. So yeah, and I've got a Hanabi box. No, wait a minute. I've got another Hanabi box. I've got the Hanabi box that is like the square size, because yeah, I got it as that's other thing. Anyway, this is a game I actually told Vince that I'm going to be reviewing this game, and I'm going to say this not as part of. I really appreciated Vince being really forthright and saying, you know, actually, I'm just going to start this as part of the review. So, let's talk about Zombie Tsunami. So, Zombie Tsunami, full disclosure, I got this game for free. I traded for it at UK Games Expo 2019, I believe. I also traded for Chronicles of Crime and Fruit Ninja. I got multiple copies of all of those games, and most of them went to the people who were helping me. And I did keep one copy of each just to try them out because I was very curious. I do also have a little bit of affiliation of Lucky Duck Games in that I've had Vince onto the BEZ Breakfast board game Blether recently. Actually, sorry, shall we start again? I just saw your thing.
All right, okay. Sorry, you mean?
Just I saw your private message. What? Yeah, when are you wanting to head off? Are you okay carrying on, or?
I would say, can we carry on till 12, and then I might just have to jump out anyway. Just because, yeah, Nicole cut their finger, so they may need some help finishing cooking and other such stuff.
Okay. I mean, I don't think that people are here specifically for any particular game review, so maybe we'll talk about Zombie Tsunami and try and do that somewhat quickly, and then I can and finish that on my own if you want to skedaddle, and I'll ask you for your rating just before you leave, and yeah.
Yeah, I think they're okay. It was only a small, little, tiny bit, but it's still bleeding nonetheless.
Yep, 100%. It's like health over games. Like if you want to head off now, like that's totally okay.
Yeah, I think I might, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's you know what? Let's stop that, and everyone else in the thing. Yeah, let me know. Would you like me to personally wrap up, or like everyone in the audience, would you like me to wrap up? I'm going to keep these games until I can chat about them with Chris, because these are things that we've played together quite recently. Or would you like me to Mogul Mozza? You've not played Mogul Mozza, have you?
No.
I could talk about that, or yeah, maybe I'll talk about APEP. I don't think I've ever reviewed APEP. I could talk about APEP maybe. Let me know what you want in the audience. But for now, lots of Chris. I mean, lots of love. And for now, I guess I'm going to say bye, Chris. Bye, Chris. And when I see y'all,
thank you.
Yeah.
It
All
was
the
really
best
lovely
with
to
this.
be on. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
See you
Bye.
soon. Bye-bye. Okay, so let me actually, in that case, change my thing. So I will do one more review of APEP. So I am going to talk about APEP, which comes from the same design studio or same publisher that brought you Glory to Rome. Now, of course, Glory to Rome has gone to a lot of fame, and they come in these plastic clamshell designs and get all this stuff and the rules and the board and yeah, and this plastic clamshell thing. APEP is nothing like Glory to Rome. If you're wanting another Glory to Rome just because it's the same publisher, you'll be sorely disappointed. This is a two-player abstract strategy game. Full disclosure, how did I get this game? I got this game for very cheap. I bought this purely because it was like £2 or £3. I can't remember how much. It was, sometimes I will buy games just because they're a couple of pounds. And it's like, yeah, if I'm able to buy a game for like £2 or £3, it's like pretty much whatever it is. Back when I wasn't planning to move across continents, yeah, I'm enjoying this game. And this is a two-player game. It is also playable 3 players or 4 players, but I am going to say that personally, I believe that the game, the 3 players, doesn't feel quite as solid. Yep. The 3-4, I've played it 3 players a good few times, 2 players a good few times, and like most perfect information abstract strategy games, it's going to be difficult for one person to win over the other. There is quite a lot that's going on with this game. It's going to be a bit tricky to explain, but let's go for it. You've got these cards. As you can see, it's a game of shadow against light. APEP, the god of shadows, against Ra, the god of light. Now these are perfectly balanced. Got these things, and you've got these things which are mainly for the multiplayer game. Let me maybe bring the camera down a tiny bit. Oh shoot, I just realized that I've not talked about the designer, so handy reminder, this is by Paul A. DeStefano. And so you can tell that you're playing APEP because, these graphic designers wanted to make sure that you know which game you're playing. If you've ever started playing a board game and you're like, hey, wait a minute, which board game are we playing again? Or you're ever annoyed by those people who come over in the pub and ask you, hey, which game are you playing? Well, this is the school of thinking that means that you label the game very clearly. Yeah, so there's some arbitrary start player thing. I enjoyed that. It's about the player who lost visit to the deserts or a beach. These are meant to be pyramid tiles, and in this game, it's all about making it so that, as viewed from one side of the board, you would see one color. And honestly, the yellow tiles and the dark tiles don't help. It would have been better if it was all kind of like this mid-tone. But if you can see clearly, with these 4 tiles, imagine these were pyramids. And here, looking from this direction, you would see the yellow. Looking from here, you would see the yellow. Yellow and yellow. So in this instance, Ra, the god of light, would have won. If this were the situation, then if I were playing as Apep, I'd be thinking, well, Ra is one move away from winning on this direction. Ra is also doing pretty good well along this direction. How am I going to win? Well, I've only got one space on this direction, and even though, so as you can see, the corners are more valuable. If you can get it like turned to that way, that's really doing Apep lots of favors, whereas, you know, turning it so that your color is facing outwards and next to the edge of the board, there's definitely lots to think about. I mean, in this case, if I were Apep, sorry, I would be going boom, block you, and then Ra, and you also, so once you've placed something, you also, where's the, sorry, the little shadow chips. You also place something so that the other person cannot place there next time. So I had to go there, and then I'm just going to play for an entire game very quickly. So that was Apep blocking Ra. Now Ra's thinking, okay, what's have I got? It's okay. I could go with this side. I've got, I've got 3 on this side already. Hey, Apep, you are being stupid. Boom, I win. And then you see the yellow, see the yellow, see the yellow, see the yellow. Ra has won. And so this probably illustrates how it is actually a bit hard to see the board. Because whilst playing as Apep, what I really should have done is I need to block that side and that side. So maybe I go with that one. So that would have been a better move for Apep. Because, yeah, completely forgetting about... It's one of those things where you're going to easily be thinking, oh my gosh, I made this mistake. How could I be so stupid? And it's because this game does challenging you in a way. And so let's rewind. Let's go. Apep plays there. Then where would Ra go? Ra would go, okay, now I'm thinking, okay, I definitely can't win this way. I'm going to go boom. And I move one of the shadow tiles. Okay, how's Apep winning? Apep's only got 2 there, 1 there. Okay, Apep's. Okay, I'm going to move the shadow tile maybe here, because I actually just noticed as Ra I can do that. Okay, Apep notices that as well. Apep's going to block that off via this method. And move that there, because can't move that because otherwise Ra would win. Now Ra's thinking, okay, Apep is winning here. Oh, okay, I want to force a win for me. Maybe I put a thing here as well. Let's start working on that. Oh my, yep, I'm only 1 away from winning. So I'm going to move this down to here, maybe, just in case Apep doesn't notice that. But of course Apep does, because I am playing both characters. So Apep places that, and then moves this one here, otherwise Ra will win. Then Ra's going, okay, can't win that way, can't win that way, can't win that. Okay, I could potentially win that. Oh my gosh, I could totally win that way. Haha, silly Apep. Again, that was... Okay, Ra wins. Yeah, silly Apep indeed. Now, you've got an idea of what's going on. If all of the things were to get put onto the board, theoretically, and no one would have won, then you start doing things where you're moving a pyramid, and then you move it to anywhere. And then you place your marker to show that it can't be moved. So like you put it to say, hey, I moved that, you can't, and you're meant to use these big tiles. So let's say it was Ra, and Ra's like, hey, I moved this, you can't move this now. And now I move the shadow. And so you're managing where the next person can move. You're managing where you're not able to undo someone's move, which obviously makes sense. And again, there's a lot going on in this game. I mean, if you can't tell, like, I really dig this game. But this comes back to my thoughts of, I really love two-player abstract strategy games, but it's hard to find good people to play against. Do you know what I mean? Because I would like to find someone to play this with and be playing this, you know, potentially 20 times and playing it 30 times. If you want to play this with me, and, you know, frankly, if people wanted to, we could potentially even play it online with these cameras. But I will say that one issue that I have is that the yellow on the background is a bit too close to the yellow of the tiles, and it's not always clear, okay, is that yellow a full tile, or is it just an empty yellow space? Do you know what I'm saying? That's one thing that I don't like about it. But it feels like mechanically, at least, this game is solid. This game does a lot of things well, at least for 2 players. 3 players, there's a whole... once you get into 3 and 4 players, it's not just a team game. It's not just, okay, let me actually... You are tournament scoring. If a single player wins, they score 3 points, and any other player with the same Ra or APEP allegiance scores 1 point. If 2 or more players win on the same turn, the player whose turn it was scores 0, and each other player scores 1 point, regardless of anything. So you want to make sure that you don't give the winning move to... Anyway, so, yeah, I feel like when we played at 3 players, this just deteriorated into no one wanting the other player to win, because yellow Ra does not want white Ra to win, and white Ra does not want yellow Ra to win. So we don't want to make it so that, and APEP doesn't want... So yeah, I would rather have yellow Ra winning than APEP, but my priority is to make sure that I win on my own turn. So it can get into a lot of stalling, and it might be that we just didn't understand the game well enough at that point, because it feels like, okay, maybe if you understand the game really intimately, you'll be able to understand this mind game of, okay, at what point do I decide that my enemy cannot win, or my enemy is about to win, so therefore I give the game to my ally, even though I am personally going to get fewer points than that. I feel like that's the way that the game would ideally go. But for us, at least, it didn't quite work out. Yeah. The other system is you can make it with... if you have 3 players or 4 players, it can just be for different directions. So a particular direction, someone wins. For another direction, other people win. And again, as soon you're going to draw people's attention, hey, that person's about to win, okay, block them. And it gets into that whole... I've got an issue when these kinds of perfect information make a row of this many colors, or... and boom, APEP for a change. Black, 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 black. Oh no, not on that side. But I've got an issue with games like this when they try to be every person for themselves, just playing all at the same time, and it devolves into one person saying, hey, BEZ is about to win, let's block them, and then I'll say, hey, Claire's about to win, make sure to block Claire. And then it just revolves into this game of everyone blocking everyone else, and if someone's about... until someone doesn't... And it's all about that politics. And I'm not saying that it's a bad game, 3 or 4 players, but it definitely feels like it suffers from that whole, it relies on everyone else to talk about who the leader is, and that whole table talk, it feels like it suffers from that a little bit. Do you know what I mean? What do I love about it? I love the fact that I love the fact that it is so different. That yes, it's about getting something in a row, but it's not about getting them in an orthogonal row. It's just that, like, as they would be seen from one side of the board. So, boom, APEP 1 in this example from that direction, and boom, APEP 1 from this direction. And because it causes you to think in a new way, because it does that, it means that there's going to be a few games of saying, oh my gosh, how did I miss that? Oh my gosh, how did I miss that? And you can feel the neurons, like your brain reshaping itself, learning and adapting and mutating. And every time you're learning new things, sure, that's great. And this is a kind of game that, frankly, when we talk about games being good exercise for the brain, this is a kind of game that I think almost epitomizes that. A game that, yeah, it's understandable, but it's quite different to what you've seen, and you're going to be playing it in a new way. You know, this is brilliant. My only beef with it is purely that I don't think I'm going to be able to find anyone to properly come on this journey with me. I don't know of any APEP tournaments. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a good player, but I'm just better than someone who hasn't played it before. And hey, if we played 10 times, then maybe by the 10th game, you might be beating me consistently. I don't know. But would you want to join me on that journey? Would you want to? Because this is a question that we need to ask ourselves of any abstract strategy game. And I guess my tastes have shifted personally as a game player. Because if I'm playing with someone else and I know that I'm going to be able to beat them for the first 3 or 4 games, then that just makes me sad. I don't want to just be beating someone. It's like, why am I even playing? Let's play Go, where at least I could give you a big handicap, or let's play something that I've never played before. And maybe that's why people who play a lot of abstract strategy games end up like churning through so many of them, because at a certain point it's like, yes. And it's not just, and any game, it's not just about the game itself, it's also about the culture. Like, and yes, Alex says it better, so much more succinctly than I have. Abstract 2-player games often require you to be evenly matched in skill. Any perfect information 2-player game, any game where there's 2 players and you know everything that's going to go on and there's no randomness, without any randomness, the player who, if there's a wide disparity of skill, well, the other person will have no hope at all. It is randomness that allows us to have a possibility of success. And again, talking about other games, like I want to talk about Crazy Farmers and Les Cloutes Électriques. And Crazy Farmers and Les Cloutes Électriques is really interesting because that could have worked as a perfect information abstract game or a perfect information strategic 2-player game. But what they did is they had little cards where when you go around the barn in Crazy Farmers, you end up getting these cards and then you don't know what the other person's got. Maybe it allows them to move 50% more. Maybe it allows them to move twice as much. Maybe it allows them to throw a little obstacle in your way, whatever. And I'm really interested by this design maxim of having an abstract strategy game that's a really solid core like this. And actually, now, the more I'm thinking about it, maybe that's what I would like to do for this. Like, have a a deck of cards. Could probably even fit in the box, I think. And then say, yeah, if you want, get some of these cards, and maybe some of these cards do things. Because this is a really interesting, way to develop a game, to add that opportunity. And yeah, Rob talks about abstract games relying on high production values. I mean, this game, yeah, if I wanted to talk about look, I don't generally talk about production values because you can see it yourself. I mean, I guess I could talk about whether it's thin and finish or not, but there's a good noise to these. They feel like decent bits. There's a good rattle of these beads. This is for the so-called tournament mode, where you get points. And so, whoops, rather than getting the score track or whatever, you've got really lovely little stone beads. That is cool. And hard plastic. With a baggie that is falling apart. But hey ho, it has been many years. I will say that Glory to Rome is much hated for its graphic design. And I would say that this game is no exception. It carries on that Cambridge Games Factory look of garish. It has their logo on the back of all these tiles. It's, yeah, the yellow and the black actually makes it hard to see, which for me is the biggest issue. Yeah. And these are actually really nice poker chips. They're fairly lightweight. They feel not that expensive, but they're really good at stacking thanks to this lovely design that they've got going on. I'm just going to show this camera, like there's a really nice ridged effect, and so they stack really nicely. And then you've got all the things you need. So yeah, that is the bits. And Rob says, if you don't have great taxability, it is difficult to get people motivated to learn the game and develop skills. And yeah, that I would agree with that. And that's why when you've got, I could teach you Go using 1p pieces, and half of them are spray painted, or little plastic, and then we're playing on a sheet of paper. Are we going to enjoy it as much? I mean, you'll probably be down for it because you have some respect for the game. It's interesting how production values do imbue a game with a sense of importance, for sure. And yeah, I will agree with Princess Rail. That, yep, it's good that they don't just cover everything in well, I mean, these are thematically pyramids. I mean, the whole point is that these are pyramids. So where are we going to find pyramids? Well, okay, it's vaguely nominally set in Japan. Sorry, Egypt. Oh my gosh. This is not going to get edited, but it's normally set in Egypt. I will... Yep. It annoys me that pretty much every game normally set in Egypt features pyramids. I mean, but you've got pyramids. Where else are you going to set it? And what am I going to do with this game? I started off talking and thinking that I was going to get rid of this. But as I've been talking, I've been thinking, you know what? I'm going to keep this. Because I feel like if I can, I'm going to keep it at least for a little bit longer. I would love to find someone to come on this journey with me. I feel like there's a lot more for me to discover. And maybe I will find someone to join me on this journey in Thailand. Who knows? It's not that big a game. It's quite small. It's quite portable. Yeah. I have actually enjoyed it every time that I play it. And, you know, when you've got that sense of, oh my gosh, I didn't see... Oh... And then someone else makes that move. it feels like I did something wrong. This is a kind of game where if you are excited by you making a mistake and then you want to do better next time, this is a great game for you. If you are excited by planning ahead and planning a few steps ahead, this is a good game for you. If you, as is often the case with perfect information games, if you don't mind your opponent taking out bits of time, then this is a good game for you. If you don't mind the fact that the yellow does look quite confusing against the yellow, then yep, this is a good game for you. I just wish that they'd had some sort of more intricate design. Anyway, but yeah. And Rob points out Mesoamerican civilizations also built pyramids. But did they have two gods? Like, to have that duality going on? I don't know. I really do not know anything about Mesoamerican things. But yeah, that is us. It is... yeah, it's a good game. And I'm surprising myself by saying that. I came to this review thinking that's how I'd score it like this, but actually now I'm thinking I'm scoring it like this. I actually really like this. And yeah, I guess when I look a bit more broadly, how can games overcome that two-player disparity of skill, either by having randomness or by having a good handicap system like Go. Go is the poster child for brilliant abstract strategy game that anyone can play, and even if you're better than me, even if you're worse than me, we can still enjoy a game together. This one, it's more inaccessible. Every single two-player abstract strategy game is. But I hope I've given you an overview of what I think about it. I hope that this has... is it... I'm just going to say, like, there are so many games out there, brilliant abstract strategy game from Nestor Games, some of them from like someone that I consider a friend at this point. And yeah, if you pick this one up for a good price, I would happily buy this for £7. Yeah, I think it's well done. And I do have a slight worry that as you get into phase 2 of the game, it might come to a point where literally no one ever wins. But as humans, we have never been intelligent enough to make sure that we never make a mistake. So we do not play perfectly enough for that to happen. And the day that we do, well then, I guess the game will have served its purpose, and it will have been a learning opportunity for everyone involved. So yeah, APEP. It's actually quite good. Yeah. So I guess there weren't any questions about that. I hope that was a reasonable review. Oh, I forgot to do my links, but I guess I had links running during that. Should I? So I could either say goodbye. I was going to, or I could review one last thing, because I feel like I could tell you about this game that I just think is really smart. This isn't even a game. This is a puzzle box. This is outside the scope of BGG. Maybe it's worth calling it today there. Well, if you're shooting off, then I'm going to call it today. It has been lovely having you all, and let me do the recap wrap up before you do so, or if you need to do so, have a wonderful night. So let's recap and wrap up. So I started off. This is the recap. This is recap. This is recap. It's a little bit like a roadmap. In retrospect, roadmap in retrospect. That's a good way to put it. Okay, so we started off today, and I said that we were going to review these 5 games. Crows, Overkill, Present, Zombie, Tsunami, Fruit Ninja, Tifa Tashin. We got decided Crows, Overkill for me and Chris is both 1 thumbs up. Present for me is 1 thumbs up. I mean, I am totally misspeaking today. What is wrong with me? Crows, Overkill for both of us was 1 thumbs down. Present for me was 1 thumbs down. Chris gave it 1 thumb up. And we didn't review the other ones. But, yep, I think it's fairly obvious what our opinion was. Because we didn't review those, we will review it next time Chris can come on. I ended up reviewing APEP, which I started off thinking it was going to be a neutral thing. But actually, I just think there's... the fact that it tries to be 3 or 4 players, even if I'm unconvinced by its implementation, the fact that there's definitely something to explore there, it gives it a little bit of a raise, and it is actually bringing something new to the get a lot of things in a line, Sean. So yeah. Oh, you want to learn more about the puzzle box? Oh, I could do that. Asteroid Escape. Smart Games. I bought this with my own money. I've got Asteroid Escape. So that's how far I've gotten. I've gotten to the start of the junior. So let's do a little puzzle. So the way this works is you look at the grid, you set up things based on where it is, and this is a really good puzzle. I bought this after spending a good few hours in... Oh, I've completely forgotten about the name. It's whatever the board game shop that's near in Harrogate is. Lovely person who owns it, and I feel embarrassed that I'm forgetting the name of their shop. But yep, I played a few of their puzzle games. This was when it was starting off. We were going to potentially be alone for a bit of time. We could see the writing on the walls. Games Crusade, possibly. Is that in Harrogate? Games Crusade, that might be it. Anyway, so it's one of those sliding 9-block puzzles, but you can't. But things overlap. So you will see that the spaceship overlaps essentially the entirety, well, half of the top of each adjoining side. Conversely, this one occupies basically the entire bottom, so you can't have, just to show, if you couldn't put these next to each other, that could not slide in there. And this will stop anything from being slid in here, here, or here. You get it. Basically, there's overlapping asteroids. So it's all about the physicality, and that's something that I love. Now, how do we get this spaceship to go out? Well, we can move these around, and hey, now this spaceship can move here, and now this can move here. Oh no, this is still in the way. Okay, how do we get this out of the way? Okay, maybe we move this. Okay, now this is going to be in the way. Maybe I need to somehow get this to be here. Okay, let's see. It really is not super simple. As you can see, I am slightly struggling. Okay, boom. Maybe this is going to help, or maybe not. Now I can. And you're basically sliding these things, and it might make you feel stupid, or it might make you feel like you've got some. Like, do you actually play these sorts of puzzle games? Let me know in the chat. Like, there's definitely an overlap of who would enjoy these sorts of games with who would enjoy a board game. Because, oh yeah, so Games Crusade, that is definitely the one in Harrogate, owned by Lisa. Games Crusade, thank you for reminding me. And wonderful people in there. And I am so sorry to everyone who works in there, because I can picture I can picture the people, but I just cannot remember the name for whatever reason. Anyway, so you have to learn, like, how do these things interact, and how am I going to get this out of the way so this little aircraft can go? And doing this on camera is a bit embarrassing, I'm not going to lie. Now you see how terrible I am, and if someone else is going to be like, oh, come on, give me a go. Let me actually try to double check that's it. Just going to put it back to the start, make sure that it is definitely correct. Oh, wait. Oh no, not quite. Almost got it out, but this is in the way. Yeah, I am not in a mindset right now to think this through in a calm manner, I don't think. That is one of the things about being on camera, where it's like, how can I get this stupid one out of the way? Let me just reset it. Okay, so I'm doing puzzle 21. So that goes there, that goes there, that goes there. Okay. So I need to get the spaceship out of here. The thing I love about this puzzle is that it tells me what I can and cannot do through the affordances. Because if I were to do that, that clearly feels wrong. Saying that you can't have it at an angle. The physical components telling you what the rules of the game are. I think this is such a wonderful thing. And more strategic board games could sometimes do more of this. Like in Scythe. When Scythe, you have the little bits that, okay, this is clearly for this area because of the double layered board. This can only go here. Salty Horse says, I only play puzzle games on the computer, not that interested in these physical games due to how limited the puzzles are. With digital, you can introduce new mechanics and tweaks more easily. But this is a neat twist on sliding block puzzles. I would agree. And let me just say that I've only managed to get to puzzle 24, and they do get harder and harder, and there's 60 of them. And that might just be me not being very good, but, the first, 12 of them are, you can definitely feel a bit of a jump when you go from one section to the next. But it feels like they've done a good job of generally increasing the difficulty, but I'm not smart enough to really grade it. So it's like, can I review something that I've not managed to beat? I don't know. Okay, so definitely when I start off, that is the only move I can make. And then I'm going to move it up, going to move it to the side, and that is still not quite right. I'm going to do that. I'm going to maybe move these around and get this. Wait. Oh, I've got it. Maybe if I got this one on this side, Oh no. Oh. Now, oh, yeah, this is... Let me do one of the starter ones just to prove that I'm not an absolute idiot. Although I feel like I'm just putting myself into a hole more and more. And just to give you an idea of what puzzle 6 is like, let's see. So we've got that. And so, as is the case for most of these smart puzzles, you've got a series of things and you need to physically place them. And yeah, there's definitely something lovely about this one where it's... Oh, okay, I can't just... Okay, I'm going to have to get those on the side. Maybe if that one comes... No. Okay, yes, I'm just showing that I am, at least on camera, very much an idiot. I don't know if this is one of those things that when you're on camera, your IQ drops by 50% or something, or if I'm just having a bad morning. But, yeah, wow. This is... One, go up. Okay. Boom, finally. I beat puzzle 6 out of 60. There you go. I finally did it. And I feel a sense of achievement. But I don't feel like I've particularly worked it out. I don't feel like I did start thinking a little bit about that. It's definitely working through all the puzzles one at a time. It doesn't feel like... I mean, it feels at some point you're going to just be like, I can't do this, I'm just really frustrated. And of course, you could look it up, and that tells you, hey, this is how you can do it by doing all the arrows and going up, 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 down, down, left, right, left, right, left, right, up, down, left, right, and so forth. But yeah, you don't want to spoil it for yourself. I mean, in theory, you might be like, is this even possible? So it's good to have those solutions just to show that it is actually possible. And yeah, I mean, I don't feel I have performance anxiety, but, you know, it's definitely, I'm thinking not only about this, but I'm also thinking about how I'm explaining it to you and thinking about narrating it. And my main priority, like a big part of the priority, is making sure it's entertaining. Anyway, what I love about this is the physicality. It just looks cool. Do you know what I mean? It's like the pieces tell you clearly this is what you can do with them. I really love it. I think that I'm going to get rid of it just before I go to Thailand. I'm going to keep it for now. I'm definitely going to keep playing it. I'm really enjoying it. You know, I'm not playing it all the time, but, you know, yeah, when I head off to Thailand, I already know who I'm going to give it to. So this is, in my opinion, out of the 10 games that I played at Games Crusade, this was my favorite. I also played a couple of... I had one other one that... And I will actually just say, shout out to Games Crusade. If you like these sorts of puzzle games, if you're interested in them at all, go to Games Crusade, try a whole bunch of them, and you can see how you feel. And what I would say, it starts off with like maybe level 1, see how you get on, then jump to level 10, and then 20, and then 30. And if you can still do, like there was one of them where I got to the end and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to check. Yep, I can actually do the last one. This is not a good puzzle for me personally because I can do all of them right now. So this is not going to give me enough challenge. Whereas this one, it's actually, for me at least, it gets really challenging. And yeah, there's a lot of possibility space in each thing. So yeah, I actually highly recommend this, Asteroid Escape. And yeah, even though I'll be getting rid of it, I'm giving that 2 thumbs up. So yeah, Now I do my proper recap. I am going into my banners and I'm going to find my next banner. And I'm going to talk about what I talked about today. I talked about presents and I did not like it because it had a bit too much arithmetic. I did not like these games either. It's got a bit too much chaos for me and text to read. Conversely, a pep is nice for me. It's a freshly presented abstract board game for two people. And so I'll keep this one. And if you want any of these, then let me know. And I'll keep this one for now. That's all right. But yeah. Thank you everyone for watching along. I just realized that's how I was doing. For some reason, I thought I had my whole overhead cam. Sorry about that. Let me do it to the front. But thank you everyone. I hope that you've learned something of value by listening to my bletherings, or maybe it's been entertaining. I don't know. Yeah, that is it. So thank you everyone. Thank you. You have all been lovely. And thank you Princess Rail, who says deep breaths. I'm all good. But now is the time when we say, over to you. What are you up to? You can share anything, but only if you want to. So, would you like to share something you're looking forward to? Hopes or ambitions? Share anything. I am currently drinking a glass of milk. I don't know what I'm going to have for my lunch. I might have, yeah, I think I've got some strawberries in the fridge. So I'm going to maybe have some strawberries at some point today in cereal. That's the thing I'm looking forward to. Also, there was a reduced price ready meal I got yesterday. Going to have that. I'm going to be seeing McCall. I mean, I know they cut their finger, but yeah, hopefully they're okay. And yeah, I'm going to go over there and we're going to have wee bits of a distance walk together. That's what I'm looking forward to. Let me know what you are looking forward to. And yeah, Alex was saying that they're looking forward to a little walk as well. Awesome. And oh man, I missed what this was a response to. But yeah. If you want to check me out on my next streams, check out stuffbybez.com/streams. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. UK time. Oh, I am chatting to Dragon. So Dragon is a lovely person from Penance RPG. We're talking about RPG podcasts and what are they? Like, why are people listening to these things? What are they all about? And Tuesday, we're going to be talking with Ellie Dix, Jess Hancock, Emily Brownshaw, Alan Paul, and myself about holiday games. Games for Christmas, games for Halloween, whatever. Is this a thing that there should be more of? Do people really want Christmas-themed games? I mean, obviously presents tied into that a wee bit. Tuesday, 8 p.m. UK time, we will be playing something. If I get enough people, I really want to play. You know, what were you thinking? Like, or at least an adaptation of it. And so, oh yeah, and Wednesday we're going to be meeting Andy Hopwood. Then Thursday is Malaysian Board Games with Colvin. Friday is the Friendly Friday Forum. Saturday we're going to be meeting one of my potential future friends in Thailand, Guang, and talking about board games and also about the trans rights in Thailand. And we will be again back here on Sunday reviewing various games. That is my forthcoming streams. So, Oh, yes, you have been lovely. 100%, Alex. You have been lovely. Princess Rail is looking forward to cooking later, doing beef and ale stew with dumplings. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Oh my gosh, I wish I were living with you. But only if you would share your food. I mean, yeah, if you don't share your food, then it's just like, I have to see all this food and smell it, and now I'm jealous. But yeah, if I were living with you, I'd be like, hey, can we talk? Like, can we talk? Like, maybe I'll cook. And maybe sometimes you cook. Are you up for that? Like, maybe once a week you cook, once a week I cook. Like, yeah, like, and an absolute feeder, so there wouldn't be any worry about sharing. I like you. I want to live with you. Anyway, so Rob's got a couple of online playtest sessions lined up for this week, so looking forward to that. And today it might be cake and a movie. Enjoy. And yes, we are all agreed that stew and dumplings. I mean, I think everyone here is jealous of Princess Rail and anyone living with Princess Rail at this point. So please, thank you for coming by. It has been lovely having you, and genuinely, it's if you want to share anything else about yourself, like some things that you're recently proud of, go for it. Cause why not? Because this is what it's all about, like connecting, and hopefully you're having a good day, and we can take pride and joy in each other's achievements. Speaking of achievements, yeah, I had a bit of a cycle and a walk yesterday. I talked about my walk, but I also cycled. I cycled up a hill, and then I cycled down the hill, because that's how it works. If you, well, to be fair, I could have gone down in a more shallow route, but you know, I was happy with what I did. Anyway, let's take pride in all our achievements. So, oh yep, I was going to view on Twitch. Sorry, let me move this round, and ooh, Dude Kalinsky is playing. Let me read them. If you like guitar music, if you like someone who's quite chilled, I cannot guarantee that this will be totally safe for work, but I will say that this is a lovely person, and we are going to raid them. If you are watching live, if you're not watching live, all I have left to say is thank you very much. You have, well, let me know if you're not watching live. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. If you're watching live, thank you very much. Thank you, however you watch, thank you for watching. And lots of love. And I hope that you are able to spread love. And that is it. As much as I hate doing it, as much as I wish I could just talk and I hate doing it, I need to say bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. And thank you for so long. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go to do bye, 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 bye. This is Sunday. Bye, 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 bye. Now we go on our way. Bye, 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 bye. I hope you're all feeling okay. Bye, 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 bye. Or maybe even great, although that's unrealistic. But bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching long. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye.